Dear students, this video is an extension to the previous two videos on numerical problems on analysis of heat exchangers. A tubular heat exchanger consists of 200 tubes, each 20 millimeter outside diameter and 5 meter length. Hot fluid flows inside the tube and cold fluid over the tube and opposite to the hot fluid. The overall heat transfer coefficient based on OD is 320 watt per meter square degree Celsius or Kelvin. Determine the outlet temperatures of both fluids and heat transfer rate using the data given below. THI 120 degree Celsius, TCI 20 degree Celsius, M dot H is 20 kg per second, MC is 5 kg per second, CPH is 2000 joule per kg Kelvin, CPC is 4000 joule per kg Kelvin. So we have this data there. Number of tubes n is equal to 200, diameter outside diameter is 20 millimeter, expressed in meters as 0.02 meter, length is 5 meter, overall heat transfer coefficient 320 watt per meter square degree Celsius. A, that is total surface area of the heat exchanger, is equal to number of tubes multiplied by the area of each tube. Area of each tube is pi d naught into L. So that is calculated there itself. 200 into pi into d naught, that is 0.02 into length L, 5 meter, which gives A is equal to 62.8 square meter. And hot fluid details are inlet temperature to 120 degree Celsius, mass flow rate 20 kg per second, specific heat 2000 joule per kg Kelvin, and the cold fluids, that is water, TCI is 15 degree Celsius, flow rate is 5 kg per second, CPC is 4000 joule per kg Kelvin. And this problem is tried out in effectiveness method, since nothing is mentioned about the method to be used in this case, and we have to find out the exit temperatures of both fluids. It is convenient to use the effectiveness NTU method to find this out. For that we have heat capacity capital CH, which is the product of mass flow rate and specific heat of the fluid, M dot H into CH. M dot H for hot fluid, that is oil, is 20 kg per second, multiplied by CPH of the same fluid is 2000. We get 4000 watt per Kelvin or degree Celsius. Since we are talking about the temperature difference, so Kelvin or degree Celsius won't make any difference there. And similarly we find out CC, that is heat capacity of cold fluid, M dot C into CC, that is CPC, which is 5 into 4000, we get 20,000 watt per Kelvin. And we have to decide the minimum and maximum specific heat capacity there. Minimum heat capacity is that of hot fluid, that is 20,000 watt per Kelvin, and maximum heat capacity C max is 40,000 watt per Kelvin. And once we know minimum and maximum heat capacities, we can find out the value of C, that is the ratio of C minimum to C maximum, and also value of number of transfer units N. N is UA by C minimum. UA by C minimum, when you know all these values for UA and C minimum, we can substitute them and get the value of N approximately equal to 1. And C, which is the ratio of minimum to maximum heat capacities, is 0.5, because 20,000 by 40,000 is 0.5. Now we have to use the chart to get the value of the effectiveness for this particular case. So effectiveness of counter flow heat exchanger, either we can go for chart, otherwise we can directly use this equation. We have the chart available in the data handbook. Otherwise, if we use this expression for effectiveness of counter flow heat exchanger, when N value and C values are known and that can be substituted, we can get the value of effectiveness for this case as 0.565. And we also know the definition of effectiveness as Q by Q max. Q is heat lost by the hot fluid, or it is also the heat gained by the cold fluid, which is in the numerator. But the maximum heat transfer possible is the product of C minimum, minimum heat capacity multiplied by maximum temperature difference, that is THI minus TCI. So we have the definition of effectiveness here. From that, we have, if you observe closely, the equation gives you the only unknown THO when the first two terms are considered, and when the first epsilon equation is compared with the second term, that is CPC into TCO minus TCI divided by TC minimum divided by THI minus TCI. TCO is the unknown. So we consider these two equations separately, and we can find out THO and TCO correspondingly. So you can observe, I have taken only epsilon equation for the hot fluid Q there, and epsilon value is 0.565, and we can calculate what is the value of THO from it. THO is 91.75, that is the outlet temperature of hot fluid oil. So the inlet temperature for which is 120 degrees Celsius, it is cooled to 91.75 degrees Celsius. Similarly, comparing the second term there for epsilon, we have, we can find out the value of TCO as 76.5 degrees Celsius. Okay, the method to find this outlet temperatures, okay, it is made simple by using effectiveness equation or effectiveness graph. Okay, since the graphs are available for knowing known values of C and N, directly we can obtain the effectiveness also. But here I have tried out the effectiveness equation for counterflow. And the last part it is asked in this question is to find out the heat transfer rate. So the heat transfer rate, when you have this expression Q, which is the ratio of, which is the product of effectiveness into Q max. Q max can be found out when you know the inlet temperature and of both hot and cold fluids, and also minimum heat capacity. And effectiveness is found out by using it. We can find out the value of Q. So Q is now 1.13 into 10 power 6 watt. A cross flow heat exchanger with both fluids unmixed, having heat transfer area A is equal to 8.4 square meter, is used to heat air. Cp is equal to 1005 joule per kg Kelvin. With the water, Cp is equal to 4180 joule per kg Kelvin. Air enters at 15 degrees Celsius with a flow rate of 20 kg per second. Water enters at 90 degrees Celsius and water flow rate is 0.25 kg per second. The overall heat transfer coefficient is 250 watt per meter square degree Celsius. Calculate the exit temperatures of both air and water as well as the total heat transfer rate. This problem is very similar to the previous one, but the difference is that there is a cross flow heat exchanger with both fluids unmixed. So the listed data, flow rates and the inlet temperatures of both fluids are known along with their specific heats. U and A are given. For a cross flow heat exchanger, we will try out this heat capacities. CH is 1045 watt per Kelvin. CC is 20100 watt per Kelvin. The minimum is CH and maximum is CC. So we can find out the NTU, just the method tried out in the previous problem. UA by C minimum gives you N, and the value of N is 2 approximate, and C, which is the ratio of minimum heat capacity to the maximum heat capacity, is 0.052, or approximately you can just take 0.05 also. Now we in this case we have to try out a chart for both fluids and mixed clays. Okay, and even for this case we have a C minimum curve, C minimum to C maximum, that is the ratio of C minimum to the C maximum, starting from 0 to 1, that is those are the curves we have here. Okay, we have got 5 curves here, and the x coordinate is NTU and the y coordinate is effectiveness. And in this case we don't know, we don't have an exact curve for C is equal to 0.052. So what we have to do is we just have to imagine a curve there or draw a pencil curve there, and first we have to identify the number of transfer units in the x coordinate. Okay, so the n is equal to 2 there on the x coordinate, and then this curve is approximately drawn for 0.05 value of C, and from there you take the you just project it onto y axis, so that y intercept will give you the value of effectiveness for this case. So it is 0.85 for this case of cross flow heat exchanger now using the chart. And using this value we can find out the exit temperatures and also the total heat transfer rate by using the definition of effectiveness. The same method is tried out as the previous one. Effectiveness is 0.85 this time, and we have different values of CPC and C minimum or C maximum. Using those corresponding values we can arrive at THO, exit temperature of hot fluid, and similarly exit temperature of cold fluid. And by using the definition of effectiveness again we can find out the heat transfer rate of this. Q maximum is C minimum into THI minus TCI, and from which you can get the value of Q. Q is 66 into 66.82 into 10 power 3 watt. Steam condenses at atmospheric pressure on the external surface of a steam condenser. The tubes are 12 in number and each is 30 millimeter in diameter and 10 meter long. The inlet and outlet temperatures of cooling water flowing inside the tubes are 25 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius respectively. If the flow rate of cooling water is 1.1 kg per second, calculate the following: the rate of condensation of steam, the mean overall heat transfer coefficient based on inner surface area, the number of transfer units, and the effectiveness of condenser. Take Cp of for water is equal to 4187 joule per kg Kelvin. For a condenser, this hot fluid temperature remains the same at throughout, starting from the inlet to the outlet. So since it is given that steam condenses at atmospheric pressure, so the corresponding saturation temperature of steam at atmospheric pressure is 100 degrees Celsius. So this is at mean sea level, but we can assume it here. And now TCI is 25 and TCO is given as 60 degrees Celsius. So we shall list out the same here separately. Number of tubes 12, diameter 30 millimeter, expressed in meters also. Length is 10 meter. Hot fluid is the steam, and that is mentioned here. That is at atmospheric pressure, saturation temperature is 100 degrees Celsius. CPH is given as CPH is not necessary. The cold fluid is water. CPC is 4187 joule per kg Kelvin, and it's also necessary even if it is not given. The latent heat of evaporation, if it is not given, you have to obtain it from your data handbook. At the atmospheric pressure, this latent heat of evaporation of water is HFG, that is 2257 into 10 power 3 joule per kg, or 2257 kilojoule per kg. It is also called as latent heat of condensation. Now we will use this to find out the rate of condensation of steam first. Okay, using the energy balance on both the fluids, heat lost by the steam, which is the hot fluid, should be equal to heat gained by the cold fluid, that is water. And heat lost by the steam, since it is condensation, it is just the loss of latent heat. So m dot h into hfg will give you the heat lost by the steam, and sensible heat gained by the water is m dot c into cpc into tco minus tci. And in this case we don't know the value of m dot h, that is the rate of condensation of steam. So substituting those values, we can get m dot h is equal to 0.0714 kg per second. It can also be converted into kg per hour by multiplying it by 3600. And the next part is to find out the overall heat transfer coefficient based on inner surface area. Total heat transfer rate equation is Q is equal to mc cpc into tco minus tci, which is available actually, and we can find out all the values are known for m dot c, cpc, tco and tci are known. We can find out the q value as 16119.99.5 watts. And similarly, since we have to find out overall heat transfer coefficient, we should also know the surface area, total surface area, which is n into pi into di into L. Remember, this is for the total surface area. Since it is asked to find out based on inner surface area, di is taken. So n is the number of tubes, and substituting that we can get the value of total surface area available inside the pipe. And now using the LMTD for parallel flow heat exchanger, so it is not mentioned whether it is parallel flow or current flow. Assuming this parallel flow, we can get the value of theta m as 55.68 degrees Celsius. And now we have q, u and theta, and also a, q, a and theta m are available. We using this q equation for using this ui, ai and theta m, we can find out ui. ui is 255.9 watt per square meter degree Celsius. So we have found out the first two terms, that is rate of condensation of steam and mean overall heat transfer coefficient. Now then, to find out number of transfer units, in condenser, maximum heat capacity refers to that of hot fluid, which remains at constant temperature, because you have to go for a maximum value of heat capacity because the temperature change is minimal, or you can say negligible. So you need to have, in order to have the energy balance, okay, because Q is equal to mcp dt for hot fluid and mcp dt for cold fluid. So since the temperature variation is there for cold fluid, there won't be any temperature variation for hot fluid in case of condenser. So in order to balance that heat transfer rate, so you need to have a maximum value of C as heat capacity in case of condenser. That means hot fluid will have C max, and the C minimum is for cold fluid. So in this case it is for water. So C minimum for cold fluid, m dot c into cpc taken, and that is calculated as 4607.5 watt per degree Celsius. And for calculating number of transfer units, the equation available is ui into a divided by c minimum. So substituting the known values, we can get the value of number of transfer units as 0.628. And for evaporators, the C max will be for cold fluid. And now the last part is to find out the effectiveness of the condenser, when you have this NTU, and we know that the reduced expression for condensers or boilers, when it is when this is whether it's parallel flow or count flow, the equation remains the same. So we have effectiveness of condenser is equal to 1 minus e power minus n. So substituting that value of n, we can get the value of effectiveness for this case as 0.47. So all the four terms which are as found out. And we have some special cases here. In case in any numerical problem the condition is asked, you can make use of this explanation. This is the normal temperature variation in case of a parallel flow heat exchanger. But in one of the cases, if it is required to find out what is the maximum possible exit temperature of the cold fluid, okay, that cold fluid can reach up to a maximum of Th naught temperatures. TCO becomes Th naught as shown in the sketch. The maximum possible exit temperature of cold fluid is TCO becomes equal to THO. So in case you need to find this out, you just have this THO is equal to TCO in the equations for Q and get the corresponding value found out. And there is another possible condition that to find out the minimum exit temperature of cold fluid, that is mean to say the maximum heat recovery possible. So whenever you try to go for maximum heat recovery, you are trying to reduce the temperature of the hot fluid at the exit. So in order to find that temperature, this is achieved by increasing the length of the exchanger, heat exchanger, indefinitely. So we know that NTU by definition is UA divided by C minimum, and A is always directly proportional to the length. Surface area will be proportional to A length. So in order for this condition to be achieved, NTU should tend to infinity. So the general definition for effectiveness of parallel flow heat exchanger is effectiveness is equal to 1 minus e power minus n into 1 plus c divided by 1 plus c. But if n tends to infinity, which is actually a limiting case, this equation will reduce to epsilon is equal to 1 by 1 plus c. So these two cases you remember in any numerical problem. If it is asked to find out the maximum possible exit temperature of cold fluid or minimum exit temperature of hot fluid, we can use it.